Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is more E3 2018 coverage, and as you can blatantly see, we're going to be looking at a 20-minute chunk of Resident Evil 2 Remake gameplay. So Leon has just reached the police station, and this game, wow, just wow. Like, I've always liked Resident Evil 2, but watching it on this new engine and seeing it from this completely different perspective is truly something different. And I'm really stoked to check this game out, but we're gonna watch it, we're gonna see some things, I'm gonna share my thoughts, share my feelings, and pretty much share my ignorance, because I can't remember much of Resident Evil 2. I remember the first encounter with the liquor, I remember the crocodile in the sewers, I remember the end of the game a lot more than I do the start, because you're constantly being chased, aren't you, by Birkin, and you're fighting him in a whole host of different forms and stuff. I remember all that, but the police station, I just remember getting a lighter and lighting a fireplace and solving a few things, and I remember thinking at the time that the police station was super long, but then in retrospect, when you look back, you can do it in about 5 minutes when you know what you're doing. But of course, you can probably say that about every Resident Evil, so it's not unique. But he comes over here, he pulls a switch, he's rocking his standard pistol, which always reminded me a little bit of the Jericho that Spike Spiegel uses, even though I don't think it is technically. It also has kind of a Walther PPK kind of look, doesn't it? But a couple of cinematics here. The first thing you're going to notice, which I noticed, is just how dark this looks. When I heard about this project initially, I did think that they were going to be Resident Evil 4ing it, and there's a part of me that couldn't have been happier. And then when I watched this, I realised that they're really not doing that. They've took the angle, sure, but they're going almost wholeheartedly towards fright and scares and atmosphere and darkness. Everything is very pretty to look at, but it's constantly draped in shadows. And you have the audio right now trying to, tease out some tension, trying to stir the butterflies in your stomach. And if you remember this game, you probably know where he is in the grand scheme of this, because one of the cool things about the remakes is you can see where they are, and then you can transfer that into your memory of the game and the perspective that you played it from before. Because as you know, they were pre-rendered angles when you first played this game, so you've never really seen the rooms like this, which is kind of awesome, especially to somebody who's super deep on RE2. But look how dark this is. I wonder if you can mess with the brightness or the gamma to make it a little bit more bearable, because as much as, it's going to be great for a first playthrough, it does make playing games kind of awkward. Unless you learn them a ton, which is what people will do for this, because I imagine people will be playing this for a very long time to come. But he approaches the woman's bathroom, always a place where items can be perused. What has he got in here? Here the toilet's overflowing and the atmospherics. Is that a first aid spray? Cool stuff. So the inventory looks pretty different, doesn't it? I don't know if I like that. I don't know if it's an homage to a different Resident Evil, but it just looks a bit standard and plain to me. I quite like the menu on Resident Evil 2. I like all the menus on the older games. They had character, but they're definitely going more minimalist and more modern. Another thing you're going to notice here, guys, is that this game is incredibly violent. It is really gory. And I don't say that lightly, because gore's one of those things that has almost no capacity to shock people anymore. But there's a part of this video where he shoots a dude with a shotgun and it looks horrible. In the best possible way, of course, but still, if you're of weak stomach or weak constitution, might not be for you, this one. I never get this either. How does this dude take so long to get under this fucking door? He knows he's in trouble and he made no effort to try and pull himself through. He deserved to die, him. But quick, try and get a bandage, Leon. You might be able to save him. Oh, maybe not. Now proceed to wipe his entrails all over yourself so that none of the zombies know you're not a zombie, and then you can get away with murder, right? That's how that works. There's the officer's notebook. Those are the 3 items that you need to do something with. And those are the 3 items where you get those 3 items that you need to do something with. So here's the first zombie. And he immediately gets grabbed, which, I don't know, man. Don't like that. Not a big fan of that. Pushes him off himself. Struggles with the camera a little bit. Look how big the reticle is. That was my first reaction to it. It seemed a bit huge, didn't it? There's a door coming through. It's very dark, as we've already mentioned. Pushes into this corridor. running past the cleaning utensils into a dead end of all places. Perhaps to put his back against it and maybe fight back. But if you remember, Resident Evil 2 was pretty much the first Resident Evil for me where running past the zombies became almost the strategy. And of course people probably did that in the first game, but I was too stupid to think of that when I played the first game, so I shot everything and had no bullets and thought the game was really hard. Whereas in this one, it seemed almost designed from the very beginning, didn't it, to not waste ammo, because there was just too many threats. And I think they did a good job of conveying that. This is a very accommodating zombie. That other dude gets cut in half in the span of a second. That guy right there, it's almost like he's forgotten what he's supposed to do. And then he gets curb stomped pretty fiercely by this dude.
You're safe. For now.
But the footage of this video does look a little bit soft. The source video that I watched looks really, really good, so don't judge the game's visuals by the compression of this video, guys. The game looks really, really striking. And it has a new voice actor as well, I believe. With obviously a new models for Leon and everything. But I do think that this is all staying to how the second game went. Because I think you did meet an injured cop, and he was in a bit of a hub for you.
Not a clue. But honestly, all you need to know is that this place will eat you alive if you aren't careful.
Yeah, well, I was supposed
Interesting place to get bitten, isn't it? How do you think he managed that? Like, there isn't even any animations in this game where they bite you in the torso, so this dude had to try hard to get that.
Okay, Lieutenant, I'm ready.
Hopefully you'll be able to find a way out of this station. That officer you met earlier, Ellie.
The performance capture and the voice acting seems good for Capcom.
Might do the trick.
Which sounds kind of harsh, doesn't it? But you must admit, Capcom's always been kind of hammy. It's a good thing, because it leaves lasting memories, but this definitely seems like it's a much more, you know, tonally serious delivery. I didn't play Resident Evil 7 enough to get some idea of what that game was like when it comes to the delivery of the cutscenes and things, because I played it for like 20 minutes and turned it off.
Stop.
Is that the knife?
And don't make my mistake.
Don't give him an inch.
If you see one of those things, uniform or not, you do not hesitate. You take it out.
You got that?
Or you run. Got it?
Yes, sir.
He's so young in this one. I like the knee pads. Dude's prepared to do some extreme kneeling. The Altar Boy Simulator. So there's the combat knife. Equip on the inventory screen. L1 to ready, and then slash. So he can move while using the knife, which is awesome. He can move while aiming the gun, which is awesome. This is a modern Resident Evil with modern conventions, and yet it is so familiar and so old at the same time. But here are the 3 items that we're going to have to place in order for the statue to move. 3 medallions, and then he's going to be moving on to see where he can go. But this entire place drips of atmosphere thanks to the lighting and the darkness. He's going to cut through this now, I believe. I don't know if you could do that without getting the knife, but it seems kind of flimsy, doesn't it? That being said, I don't know if you've ever tried to pry off tape like that. It's a bloody nightmare, but I like to think you could have found a sharp edge without needing a knife. Maybe I'm just more MacGyver-y than most, but I could have got through that shit. The green herbs look different. That's pretty sweet. More bullets. 9mm parabellum bullets. I remember this room. This room I remember. Can't quite tell why. It's reminding me of a room. Didn't you press a button and to open a door and there was like a... Was there a metal detector? Is that a different game? That's probably a different game. Anyhow. So once again, playing on the atmosphere. Look at this, by the way. This looks so horrible. In the best possible way if you're a fan of gore. But this might be one of the most violent things I've seen in a video game. Look at that. God, that looks so nasty. Hot damn. That's pretty crazy. Dude hanging from the ceiling, like you do. Static on the radio, attracting the monsters, Silent Hill style. There's a large claw mark that they draw emphasis to. And then in front there's the wonderful example of lighting here. And misting as the light cascades through the window. Is this where the liquor goes past? Oh no, there's a woman. I don't think they've synced up the hits to the sound, have they? Because just then she was hitting that window and it wasn't right. But never shoot him in the... That I like. Did you see that? The moment he shot her in the face, it put her down. She flinched. She really reacted from the shot, which is exactly what we want to see. Because I can't stand shooting zombies and them taking it like it's note. It's really stupid. I don't mind if the zombie takes 50 shots. They're a fucking zombie. It's a survival horror game. But don't have it that when I shoot them, they take it like Arnold Schwarzenegger does in Raw Deal. That's just bullshit. But we've got more things to read in classic Resident Evil fashion. In the Raccoon Police Department. I wonder what Hideki Kamiya thinks about this game. Because of course, wasn't it his first opportunity to direct? So this must be a special game for him. Or maybe a stressful memory. But there's the map. I don't remember what the map was like in the original. I can hear a zombie and Leon doesn't seem to give a single shit as he climbs up into the vent. Or climbs through the room, sorry. Oh, here we go. I thought this was quite interesting in a Japanese kind of prejudicial way. This is a fat dude banging on a vending machine. Pretty stereotypical. I do like it though. Lots of gore and viscera on the wall. Another person banging on a window with really dramatic lighting here. I would talk about screen space reflections and things like that, but I'm not entirely sure what the fuck they are. I'd have to Google that shit. I have an idea of certain terminologies that Digital Foundry... Ooh, that looked sweet then. The inventory looked a little bit better just then. You know, when you go to the menu yourself and you can see the vitality and everything. That looked pretty cool. And this is interesting too. He's picked up wooden boards, and the wooden boards allow you to stabilize windows. And I believe it stops them from beating through it, or if it doesn't, it makes it so it takes them longer to do so. Which seems like a really sweet idea to me. Because it's going to enable you to control spawns. And I love the idea of that. One thing I was looking forward to in this that I don't think we're going to see is if we do enter a safe room in our time in this footage, I don't think you hear the classic music, which I'd be really disappointed if that wasn't in the game. They brought back the building bullet mechanic, but they didn't bring back... This is a safe room. I don't hear no safe music. I wonder if that's a tonal choice, because admittedly the safe house music always kind of sounded a bit off, didn't it? 'Cause it was too cheerful. It was too like... You finally got to a place where no one's trying to put their evil, nasty fingers down your throat and tear your face off. Or maybe that was it just then, because the music came up a bit just then. But didn't sound like I remember this game sounding. That looks cool too. The Matilda. But who knows, maybe that's exactly what it sounded like in Resident Evil 2, it's just been so long. So he pulls the torch out. I wonder if he does that automatically or if you have to press a button. It's interesting that the torch is going to be a mechanic now. I do like the idea of using a torch. It reminds me of that Alone in the Dark on the PS2. That was a pretty good game. Another bathroom. Obsessed with checking bathrooms. Steam room. That's going to need a crank. Some kind of square angled crank. It's interesting that it shows you what doors you can open with that kind of Last of Us looking. Is he dead? That was pretty cool. Some of the damage modifiers on the body, so you can see the different shots. That's one of the areas of graphics that I don't think has gone as far as I expected it to when I was younger. Because the idea of getting different damage on different limbs and it showing visually differently is something that I remember in Turok 2 being very vivid and one of the best parts of that game, and it just blew me away. And Turok 2 was what, 98? Something like that. And then we go ahead 20 years and we really haven't got that far. Admittedly, it looks nicer and it looks crazier. That kind of sucked. And now he's completely unaware where the fucking zombie is because of the camera just then. So I think it's behind him. But... yeah. I don't know, man. I'd like a dodge. Dodges are cool. I didn't even know Resident Evil 3 had one, but it did. And that sounds awesome. That's cool. Nice little shadow puzzle there. Or shadow placement. So that it can intimidate you. Picks up a fancy key. I'm assuming that zombie's going to be chasing him in his own shambled way. There it was. Liquor. Which, I think the liquors were awesome. Because they were super intimidating, but they were actually pretty balanced, pretty fair. This game does look really nice. I can't wait to play it on PC. And I'm hoping it comes to PC, it would be nice. There you go, you see that? They're blind as bats. So they're giving you information here in order to fight the lickers. And I think the mechanic is, if you walk instead of running, you don't set them off. So you can kind of just get past them if you're clever. Which I really like. And it's the type of stuff that I just didn't understand when I was a kid. Because when I first played this, I probably didn't read that message just then, or whatever equivalent there was in the original game. I didn't want to read, I wanted to fucking shoot zombies, right? So I didn't realise that walking slowly... Oh wow, that was dirty. That was so bullshit, but did you see that? He had a prompt to stab him with the knife, and then the knife sticks in the zombie here. And what's really interesting is you can get this knife back. What's less interesting is that there's no prompts on these zombies when you shoot them, which is what I really wanted from the game. And maybe they do exist, maybe this player's just not showcasing them, because he's wanting to show this as traditionally as he can. But I would really like the Resident Evil 4 and 5 mechanic of the weakened state zombie and those awesome melee attacks. Because I think that that's where the fun of this game truly... And he gets grabbed again. Camera's a bit bad, he's just gone into caution. So the game warns you when you lose a HP threshold. He's behind you, dude. Oh no, he's not. That was rough, wasn't it? But he was able to knife that one, and I don't understand that. Could he have not knifed the first attempt? Or did he not press it in time? Or can you only do it at certain times? But once he's dead, he gets the knife back. So there's going to be this interesting interplay between this defense knife and your attacks. And of course, a defensive knife is nothing new, because in the original remake, they gave you these weird knives that would automatically use themselves when you got grabbed. So they were a counter towards, being grabbed, and then you lost the knife. Whereas in this game, the knife is potentially spottier and doesn't always work, but you can get it back. And I really hope that we control it, and the reason why he was bit on that first attempt is purely because he forgot to press the button, or he's trying to make this look a bit more intimidating than it is. Because imagine the person who's played on this footage has perhaps played this a lot, and if not, it could be a game journalist, and then we can understand why this is happening, because it's easy not to understand the mechanics when you play a demo. I remember that very vividly. I played Metal Gear Rising in Manchester at an expo, and the demo let you do all the fights up to the Blade Wolf boss fight, and then that was the end of the demo, but it didn't really convey how you were supposed to parry that well, because the tutorials were even worse than they were in the main game, if you can imagine that. So the icon on the screen made it look like you're supposed to flick. Sorry, you were supposed to click the analog in while pressing X to parry, and I just couldn't parry, so I couldn't defend against the boss, and it just bullied me, and it killed me a bunch of times, and I ended up running out of time, and I had to leave the play area. But I came away from the game kind of bugged out, because I didn't understand how to do it, and I was frustrated. So that was a great example of, when you do get hands-on with a game, sometimes it's not always the best impression that you can get. But here is more puzzles being conveyed to us. I do love that stereotypical scrolling noise. It always reminds me of the Castlevania 64 game by Konami, because when you were loading your game, it made that stock turning page noise, and I love that page noise. It's like the Wilhelm scream of turning pages. It's so good. I love it. But he's got some gunpowder for building weapons. He's using the key on the doorway, and I think we're moving on now to the final minutes of this footage. So he comes back to this fella,
Come here. Take a
who
look.
was having a bit of a tough time on his little shitbanger laptop.
I knew she'd make it.
There we go, that's Claire.
You know her?
Do you think you're going to be able to play as both the characters and pick their campaigns like you used to? Or do you think they're going to change how this works and you swap between the characters maybe? I really hope it's traditional. Because I never played as Claire. I was a big sexist.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
And I never had the disc. That's my defense. Because I think there were different discs, right? But there you go, guys. That is the end of Resident Evil 2 Remake footage that I managed to grab. I think this looks really awesome. I'm very excited to play this. I wish it was coming out sooner than it is, but apparently it's coming out quite soon. So, stay tuned, right? I'm looking forward to learning how to destroy this game. It looks awesome. Thank you for watching. You take care now.